We're going full lawyer mode on this one. What are the legal ramifications? Can you be charged if your gun accidentally goes off? Remember, I always say guns are made to fire in a gun store and your bullet hits someone. We've got video, and we're breaking down the security camera footage here with noted criminal defense attorney Tom Grieve and answering these questions. But first, a quick reminder. We have a gun giveaway going on right now. You can enter for free, but it ends really soon. Just click the link in the description down below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. All right, Tom, we're going to watch some video here. We had to move it forward about 30 seconds because two guys are fiddling with a gun at the gun counter in a store. I believe it's somewhere in South America. A guy in the red is trying to disassemble this firearm to show the new buyer how it works. And he pulls out his own defensive firearm. Take a look here. First of all, never pull out your gun unless you're facing a threat. He takes the magazine out, and it looks like he's racking the slide. So, looks like he was trying to clear his gun. But as we will find out in a moment, unless you lock the slide to the rear and visually and physically inspect the chamber, you never know what could happen. And here's what happens right about now. Oh, I got to pull the trigger to take this gun apart. Hang on a minute. Pow! Shoots his buddy right in the belly. Now look at this. We hear a gun go off. Some lady comes running in from outside. She wants to see what's happening. She heard a gunshot in a gun store, and maybe she wants to come help. And everybody else just lines up against the wall. One guy takes charge. He wants to get the medical kit out and start administering first aid. So let's have a discussion about the legal aspects of what's going on in a situation like this.
Right.
First of all, guy in the red shirt, it's his fault, 100%.
Right.
What could happen to him?
Well, there could be various criminal charges. We're going to assume for a moment that it's lawful to conceal carry, right? Because obviously if it wasn't, there's mistake number one. Yep. He was clearly negligent as far as handling his firearm. I doubt no one in the comment field will dispute me on that. Clearly negligent as far as pulling the trigger on a loaded firearm, period, let alone at someone else, let alone his friend.
Muzzle management, trigger finger discipline.
Right. I mean, and of course, he's doing this all as kind of the seasoned veteran of the firearm world, which is something worth remembering, of course, because many people consider themselves to be the seasoned veteran who's going to take someone under their wing and show them how to do something. That was this guy here, and look what happened. Yeah. So you can never, ever be lax or think that you're above a lot of those safety rules. And he clearly thought he knew what he was doing, obviously. Yeah. So you're looking at potential lawsuits against him. You're looking at potential criminal charges against him. This appears to be somewhere in South or Central America, maybe Brazil. I don't speak Portuguese, but I see some accents over those letters that lead me to believe that might be where we're at. I can't speak for their legal system, but if that happened here in the United States, you could be looking at both criminal charges against the red shirt gentleman as well as civil charges, so of some sort of plaintiff's attorney filing against him. We're looking at him carrying all sorts of fees as it relates to obviously loss of wages, medical issues, long-term recuperative care, rehabilitation, so forth. Yep. Also, what happened? Because I was paying attention to also the green shirt gentleman behind the counter, presumably a store employee. This guy's oblivious to the fact that a customer just pulled out a concealed carry firearm.
Just pulled out a gun.
I would bet that runs contrary to the rules of the store, because I know that in virtually every firearm store I've been to, they always say, look, unless you get explicit permission, don't unholster. Yeah. Don't show anyone your firearm.
And if you're bringing your gun in for service work, it needs to come in a case, unloaded, and if it's your defensive firearm, it stays put until you're facing a threat.
Right. So I'm willing to bet that the green shirt gentleman behind the counter probably had some sort of training or employee handbook or manual saying, you see a firearm come out from a customer's holster, you need to tell them to holster. Basically, you need to intervene at that point.
So we're probably looking at some sort of civil litigation from the guy who got shot against the gun store?
Correct. If this happened in the United States, they're probably not only suing the red shirt guy, they're probably also suing the gun store, as well as all the co-investors in the gun store, everybody on the FFL. They're probably suing the employee who is behind the countertop, the individuals who are responsible for training that employee. And if the gun store had the proper kind of written training manuals to show, look, we have written standards that this green shirt employee were not following, then the plaintiff's attorney could be arguing, well, sure, but you didn't train enough, or you didn't provide enough training and supervision to fulfill those standards. So there's how we get to negligence. Or if there were no training or written standards or any standards, then we have negligence going that way. And again, as I can hear the keyboards lighting up, I'm not necessarily defending that this is the way the system works. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give a forecast of, you want to know how attorneys are going to look at this, and you want to know how attorneys are going to try to tear into this. This is how they're going to look at this, and this is how they're going to tear into this. Red shirt guy, green shirt guy, attorneys want to go after people with deep pockets.
Yeah.
I don't know what the situation is of red shirt guy. Maybe he's just some guy living reasonably paycheck to paycheck with a little bit of savings like most people. Maybe he's incredibly wealthy. I don't know. Obviously, a plaintiff's attorney, which I am not, by the way, but a plaintiff's attorney, which is code for someone who sues people, all the people you see on TV probably.
Yeah. Okay.
They're gonna dig into who that guy is, what's his background. They're gonna figure out exactly what's the insurance policy, what kind of umbrella coverage might apply to both him as well as particularly the firearm store, and basically sue everyone. And criminal prosecutors definitely, if this was in the United States, could be looking at some sort of recklessly endangering safety.
And you're looking at probably several counts because there's a lot of people standing around.
Yeah, depending on how aggressive they want to be. I mean, you've got intentionally pointing a firearm at some, well, I mean, again, was it intentional? Right? But you've got a potpourri of charges, just a buffet line of charges that I can imagine criminal prosecutors, if they want to do it. I'm not suggesting that they should or shouldn't. I'm just kind of saying, here's the tool board, right? Here's the deck of cards the prosecutors can play with. And there's quite a bit there.
Yeah, and we're looking at this through the lens of, and people will say, well, this was an accidental shooting. And I will argue against that all day long. I very rarely use the term accidental. This was negligence, pure and simple. The guy thought he unloaded his gun, and he did not. He did not check it. He did not follow the safety rules. He had his finger on the trigger. There was a round in the chamber. The gun was pointed. I mean, all of these things had to happen, and they all just stacked up one on top of the other until we have a disastrous situation. So I don't want to let people off the hook by saying this was an accident.
Right.
An accident is that there was something truly out of left field, and maybe it was a manufacturing issue or some other problem that you could not foresee. I can foresee things going really badly if there's a round in the chamber, my finger's on the trigger, my gun is pointed at somebody who I don't intend to shoot.
And then I pull the trigger.
Yeah, and then I pull the trigger. So,
so
all of those elements, and I'm sure people will comment on this and like, well, it was an accident. He didn't want to shoot his friend. No.
Right.
This is what gives, one, it gets people hurt and killed, and two, it gives all gun owners a bad name for here's a guy who clearly had some experience. He pulled the gun out, kind of kept the muzzle pointed down while he removed the magazine, but then his safety procedures just went all to hell, and this is the end result of that.
And the friend should have known better as well. I mean, it looks like the friend is purchasing a firearm, so he presumably should have been well-versed enough. If you're purchasing a firearm, you should know the safety rules at that point. And he should have known that the red shirt friend was violating those safety rules when he was, and it's okay. It's okay. If your friend's doing something like that and pointing and flagging you with a firearm, push it away.
Yep.
Right? You're doing both of you a favor when you do that.
And I'm
You're
a big fan of, hey, don't point your gun at me. I say that, and I say it more often than I should at one of the indoor ranges that I attend. And total strangers, excuse me, you're pointing your gun at me. Stop it. I don't want to have to tell you again. And I'll leave the range and go tell somebody out on the outside that, hey, there's a guy in there being unsafe. And clearly, a lot of indications. You could see this leading up. And it's not just one thing. It's not an accident. It's negligence, and it takes a series of very specific things to make that gun fire.
It's a shame that it had to happen, but it does happen. And to your point before, you're right. I mean, people who do not train, and everybody makes mistakes. Let's just kind of start there. But people who do not train and recognize the safety procedures give the Second Amendment world a black eye.
Yeah.
There's one other thing I just want to comment on, which I'm sure will really fire up the comment field. Hollywood and the media does no one a service by poorly or even miseducating the public as to how the justice system works. That's probably not going to come as a surprise to most people watching this, but it's an important precursor to what I'm about to say. There's going to be some sort of keyboard commando out there. And we've all played that role from time to time. But he's saying, well, look, it's really it should be up to the guy who got shot, right? It should be up to him as to whether or not charges are pressed. Because what? We all watch TV, we all watch Hollywood and so forth, and invariably, what happens in the movie, right? Yeah. The bad guy is getting his handcuffs taken off, and he's being released from jail, and the tough cops are like, "I wanted to put you away, but the victim won't press charges," or something like that, right? And the bad guy gives him his smirk and walks out. That's not the way it works in real life, at least not in many, many, many jurisdictions, including right here in Wisconsin. The good guys, or the victims, don't decide when or who to press charges against. Yeah. Prosecutors do, right? Police officers do the investigation. They gather the information, the evidence. They write reports. They make arrests. They can make recommendations to the prosecutors as to who gets charged for what. But it's the prosecutors who actually pull the trigger. Now, maybe given the particular kind of cultural norms of law enforcement, I can point to counties where the sheriff or local PD, they kind of call the shots and the prosecutors just kind of lay down to them. And I'm not saying that negatively. Maybe they just know a lot more, frankly. Yeah. And oftentimes, of course, the shoe's on the other foot. Maybe the prosecutors, you just have a really great seasoned group of prosecutors who know really well, and maybe a relatively younger group of cops or whatever the case may be. All of these scenarios kind of inform the local law enforcement culture. But at the end of the day, it's the prosecutor's signature who's going on, the criminal charges. Yep. That and the complainant, of course, stopping those keyboard commandos. But they're the ones deciding and making these charges. So it's not going to be up to this guy in many locations as to whether or not someone's going to get charged. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that to defend the way that this is the system that we have. People need to know this is the system that we have. It may not be up to the friend who got shot as to whether or not his close buddy who shot him goes to prison.
Yeah, he can't just forgive him and hope that this goes away. This was a bullet that was fired that hit somebody that caused damage. This is a serious issue. So thank you very much for your time, Tom. And folks, thank you for watching all the way to the end of this video. And a quick reminder, we have that gun giveaway going on, and it ends really soon. All you have to do is click the link below and reveal which brand new gun you could win. I'm Kevin Michalowski, Director of Content for the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. And if you want to see more videos like this, please like this video and subscribe to this channel, because YouTube is actively suppressing firearms videos, and we need your help to defeat the algorithm. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.